Well,
Okay.
hello, I'm Dr. Julia Royston of Live Your Best Life, and so excited to be with you one more time to bring you people, places, tools, information, and resources to help you live your best life. Now, I always want to give a special shout out to my brothers and sisters in Nigeria. We are now syndicated in Nigeria on the Regia Radio Network. So, hello to everyone in Nigeria and welcome everyone from around the world, wherever you're tuning in and listening to, and even on the replay. We're so glad that you've joined us. So I have not only just a phenomenal person on today, this is a family member, so don't come for her because this is family. Don't even try it. Uh, uh, a family member that's on with me today, but someone who I want to really inspire, empower, women, whether you're in ministry or whether you're not, but also to really talk about the things that she's done and to really help encourage women in this season to keep moving. Her and I have a similar move. We move, we just switch gears and we just keep going, one foot in front of the other. But I look back and I'm like, where you at, girl? What you still where I left you? I'm not gonna be. So I want her to introduce herself, tell us where she's from, tell us where we can find her on social media and her website first, and then we're gonna get right to it and have a wonderful conversation. Go ahead and take it away.
Amen. First of all, I am so honored to be a part of this broadcast today. I mean, Julia, you have really inspired my life totally, even from childhood and even through teaching us in the choir and and just your
Oh,
whole
see,
life
she's going
and
back too
every
far. Hold on, hold on. Most people don't even know I sing, let alone I know. Go ahead, love.
and everything. And so I'm really honored to be a part of this and to have this conversation with you today. And to God be the glory for all the things he's done and is doing in your life as well as what he's doing in mine. I'm Evangelist Catherine Morrison, originally from Louisville, Kentucky. Grew up there, born 1953, and came up through the ranks and everything. But at this present time, I'm living in Nashville, Tennessee. And I have well, really two children. Then I have a daughter, of course, my late daughter. She passed in 2019. And then beautiful grandchildren and great grandchildren. Serving in ministry at Greater Christ Temple Church under the Honorable Bishop Diocesan Bishop Sherman Merritt here in Nashville, Tennessee at Greater Christ Temple Church. And then how you can get a hold of me is on my website is kmministries.net, kmministries.net. Of course, I'm on Facebook under Catherine Morrison. You can look me up on YouTube under Catherine Morrison as well. And just the Lord has just had me on a journey. I've really been, literally been on a journey. And I know the new word now is pivot and then shift.
Yeah.
And so I've been pivoting and shifting quite a while. And so I just thank the Lord for entrusting me on the journey to do what he's called me to do for such a time as this.
All right. Well, one of the things that, we are family but, sometimes, oftentimes I think about, and I even wrote a poem about it, me being the legacy of Jesse and Henrietta Forey. And I
Mhm,
often think about, she preached, she was a teacher, she could read for number one, because granddaddy never could read or write
mhm,
his own name until his death. So knowing how important that was, and then of course I didn't find out until our aunt Aunt Lula died,
uh-huh,
and that was in 2019, that she went to a predominantly white church, which of course we understand the separation of church and state, white churches and all black churches, but she was
mhm,
in a small community at that time, and how she literally risked her life to actually go to church, to a
mhm,
Pentecostal church. Now you may have to Google that and look that up, what a Pentecostal church is and what an apostolic church is and what that means. But the base is that she was a black woman with two small children in a predominantly white church who,
mhm,
from the stories I was told, uh, when they were praying to dismiss, she would have to leave out and rush to leave before the service was ended. so that,
Oh,
the people that might have been holy on the inside wasn't very
mm,
holy on the outside and might
outside.
have done something to her. So,
Mm,
knowing that we have that heritage, that is simply incredible. So we basically bear the weight of
yes,
our heritage.
yes,
I mean, we bear
definitely.
the literally the weight of knowing those who preceded us, because neither of us have met her,
Mm-hmm,
because she died when she was like 40 years old, something along that.
mm-hmm,
So therefore, some of the women that we may look like, we may act like, we never did even meet.
mm-hmm. That's true.
So it's like what, it's so therefore we're walking out something that
Mm,
they never did get to see.
that's true. And
Yeah.
then you can feel, and really, I always feel the strength of our ancestors.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you're in those hard places and you're wondering, where is the strength coming to just stand up and be strong? And a lot of times it's coming down through the bloodline,
It
because they
is.
were
It is.
strong women. Yes.
Yeah. And and my dad said, when she was dying, she did that like they did in the um in the ancient days, where all the children were standing around the bed, and she prophesied over each and every one of them
Mm,
and told them their lives, each and
mm.
every one of them, the good and the bad.
Oh
She
my God.
foretold each and every one of them, and
Uh-huh.
what they would actually do and how they would behave, and how life would be hard for them, or good for them, or if
Mhm.
they didn't do this, that how it gives me chills just thinking about that.
Yeah.
That
My God.
lady had all those children, and then she's not going to see them grown, because my
Yeah.
dad was next to the bottom. He had
Mm-hmm.
another brother, but so but he was still like 6 8 years old, but
Mm-hmm.
she told their life just like she was standing there watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just the miracle of that. So, that is one of those things that we really have, not only just in common, but that we know that flows through our bloodline. I mean,
Yes.
clearly goes through our veins. So therefore we are standing the strength of our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
We're,
That's true.
mama pray, that old song, my mama prayed for me, had me on.
Uh-huh.
That's the truth. I mean, that is a real place. But
It
what do
is.
you do in the meantime? You don't have
Mm-hmm.
them. You just have their prayers to pray,
Right.
to stand on. That the
Mm-hmm.
prayers that they prayed, and the pushed us out of their womb, and ta-da, here we
Uh-huh.
are
Yeah.
looking around going, how we gonna do it, Big Mama? And Big Mama ain't
Right.
even here.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that, we'll talk about music lately, because we just got to
Mm-hmm.
get to the music part.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I have really admired about you is positioning, what
Mm-hmm.
position that you're in, and titles, change, and positions
Mm-hmm.
change, and situations change, all that pivoting and changing. Hello.
Yeah.
So what is the guidance for that, to be able to shift gears, because you've been a pastor at times,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're on staff somewhere else. I mean, how does that look? What does that look like?
Well, it's really it's not an easy thing to shift, but it's like the journey that God has had me on. It's like He always deals with me in times, seasons, and dates. I mean, specifically. And He'll let me know, okay, you're getting ready to do this, or you're getting ready to do that. I'm calling you. Even in being called into ministry, I was called in ministry in 95. And I still didn't accept it until 96. It took
Okay, so
somebody,
how old were you? How old were you then?
95, I was, oh my God, I was 42. I think
Okay.
I was 42 at that time.
Okay.
And I had moved from, of course, from Louisville in 90, and, had gotten married and moved here in 90. But then 95 is when I heard the call of the Lord. And then from there, accepted the call in 96. And so the journey started there at Greater Christ Temple Church, of course, praise and worship and all that, with that journey. But then He had shifted me then to become, I started a newsletter. It was a newsletter at that time. It was called Sharing with Sisters, sharing women's stories of struggles and triumphs. And that started in 95 as well. But seeing the journey and how He kept shifting me from being a writer and and producing a newsletter, to still doing praise and worship, to doing serving in the church, teaching and all that, to then moving me from that location, because you can always tell when God's ready to shift you, because you'll feel a detachment from where you are. Your grace, you know that you don't have the grace that you once had to, and the anointing seems like it lifts from that area. And you can tell when he's ready to shift you. The thing is that I tell people all the time is just be obedient to God and trust the process. And that's what has helped me all this long time. And so as he shifted me from there, then moved me to another place, began to serve in ministry. And then that's when I was ordained as a minister, and then was elevated to evangelist, and held a lot of administrative positions there at that location. And then after being there for about 5 or 6 years, I could feel the detachment again. I'm like, what are you doing, God? So it's an uncomfortable place, because you're comfortable where you are and comfortable in doing what you're doing. But then sometimes the Lord just pulls the rug out from up under you, and the situation can be kind of bad. Just be truthful about
Okay,
it.
so when we have this detachment, because
Uh-huh.
it's kind of difficult, because the church world is usually, oh, they just didn't want to obey, they just didn't want, they were
Right.
rebellious, and they didn't want to,
Uh-huh.
and I believe that
Uh-huh.
until, like you, I've had the same situation. I'm like, who's rebelling? We're
Right.
just trying to go with God here.
That's
Nobody's
it.
trying to rebel against anything. I mean, no, because
Yeah.
rebellion is, what is the spiritual witchcraft? And I'm like,
Witchcraft.
no, we're not doing that. That's what the book says. So
And you're
nobody's
not
trying to
obeying
be
Satan, so you're
rebellious.
obeying
Lord,
God.
no. So, so what does that, so what are the processes for that? Because there's maybe somebody listening who's saying, I really don't feel a connection. It's not like I fall out with nobody, I don't
Mm-hmm.
hate nobody, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel the connection to that ministry anymore. And of course, having been through COVID, that
Yeah,
connection can look all different kind of
it's
ways.
different. It is different. The thing is, when you start feeling that, is when you really start seeking God. Lord, something is changing. I'm not feeling the same way. I feel like I'm just not, I don't belong. It's
Mhm.
always that detachment. Then you feel, it's kind of like not really an isolation, but you feel just really not a part. You
Right.
still go through the motion of praise, worship, you still worship the Lord, serving the Lord, but there's still something in your spirit that just feels like
Right.
it's something else that's going on with you. So at that point, usually when I start feeling that, I start seeking God. I go into prayer, and I put fasting with it and seeking the voice of God. And the Lord usually lets me know, okay, I'm getting ready to shift you. I'm
Right.
getting ready to change. I'm getting ready to do this for you.
Right.
And so then, as communing with the Lord, then he gives you direction, just like he did Abraham. He'll tell you, get up and go.
Right.
And I know where you're going, but just trust me. Have faith to believe that I'm not going to leave you. I'm not going to forsake you. And just like when the Lord called me to ministry, he said, just like I was with Moses, okay, Joshua, just like I was with Moses, I'll be with you.
Yeah.
And so even through the process, that always comes back to my mind, just like I was with Moses, I'll be with you, because Joshua was shifting. He had to pivot. Now you're the leader,
Yeah. Mhm.
different direction, different title, different position, different assignment.
Right.
And the thing is, what I tell people all the time, if we will adapt the kingdom mindset, that's the thing. You've got to adapt the kingdom mindset. I read a book that really changed my life tremendously. And it's by Tony Evans, called The Kingdom Agenda.
Mm.
And reading that, it helped me to have the kingdom mindset, and not about me, the little empire, or just my location. It was the kingdom mindset. So when you have a kingdom mindset, you're serving in the kingdom of God. And the kingdom of God has many different, like you got the arm, the leg, you got just different areas of the kingdom, but your serving is still the kingdom of God. So when you keep it a kingdom mindset, regardless of where you are, you're serving the king, and
Mm.
you're doing all that you can do to satisfy the king. Even if you have to leave a place and it seems like the people don't understand, you are serving the king. They're going to be all right. they're gonna be all right.
They're gonna
You
be
know,
all right. They're gonna be
they're
all
gonna be
right.
all right. When you're
Yeah.
serving the king and you have a kingdom mindset, I understand what you're saying. I no disrespect to you, but I've got to obey the king.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
So
that takes
that's what
maturity. Yeah,
yeah, that's what has helped me. That's what really
yeah,
has helped
yeah,
me
yeah.
because some people are stable. They'll be at one place, they'll be at one church or one assignment, and then that's just their assignment. But there are other
Mhm.
people that are moving,
Yeah,
parts of the kingdom.
yeah, yeah. And
I hope I
that takes maturity and all of that. Because see, I having worked in corporate America, and you have to, when you're in a large multi-location corporation, it is
hmm
very natural for people to be moved.
Yes.
It
Yes.
does not, it has, and I don't understand why the church cannot understand that the
hmm
body of Christ is global, it's universal, it's not
Yes.
just in your location, and it's not, this is no, as they say, it's no disrespect to the leader right here, but he
Uh-huh.
said for me to go over there. And there's a
Right.
reason why, he said for me to go over there. And we used to
Mhm.
applaud. We had the little cake in the conference room.
Right.
When somebody said, "Oh, they're going overseas to Germany," be like, "Yay!"
Yes.
Nobody went and said, "Oh, they're being rebellious against the corporate
Right.
vision because they're going to Germany." Like, really, dude? What? They
Right.
don't even make no sense. But
Right.
but we like it. We
Yes.
build our own little kingdoms. The little
hmm
K, the little G gods, the little
That's
king.
it.
We
That's
like
it.
it
Uh,
when people, especially the gifted, and
hmm
the gifted such as you and I, we
Yeah.
move a lot.
Move a
Jesus
lot.
assigns us and reassigns us a lot.
That's it.
And I've
That's it.
asked him, like, okay, now, I know other people can do stuff. Why are you to keep
Right.
moving? He said, because
Uh-huh.
you say yes. He
That's
said,
it.
because you say
That's it.
yes. He said, because
Mhm.
you say yes. I said,
And even in
okay.
pastoring, it was the same thing with pastoring. I think that was one of the hardest things for me to accept what he was doing at that time. I had pastored for 6 years. And really, I was just really enjoying it. We had like just a little flock, but I feel like regardless of the number, they're important to God. And my assignment is important to where I pour into them, train, equip, disciple. I mean, that was the motto, was God's Kingdom Empowerment Center. And that was our motto: disciple, train, equip, empower, and release them to serve in their kingdom assignment. And so in the midst of all that, did okay for maybe 4 or 5 years. And then I started getting sick.
Hmm.
I had didn't know all along, but I was having colon problems. And I think it was about that last month, up to the last month, I was in out of the emergency room. I was always taking antibiotics for diverticulitis and all that. And but that last time, the Lord was letting me know. He said, "You're really sick." He said, "But I want you to uh, gather the church, gather them together, and prepare them and for your release." And I'm like, "For my release?" He said, "Yes." He said, "You're going to rest a while." And I'm like, "Rest a while?" I said, "Well, maybe I thought it was just a sabbatical." He said, "Your season is over." And I'm like, "Okay, I've heard that before." But I could
Mhm.
tell something was wrong because I didn't have the strength. I didn't have the grace was not on me to continue. And so I think it was the 1st of March. He said, "I want you to talk to the church. You're going to close down by the end of March because you're going to rest a while." I said, "Okay." So I pulled them together and started, preparing them to leave. And then I remember that last Sunday of March, I prayed over them. I gave the blessing over them and I released them. I even had letters prepared to wherever they decided to go. I was kind of guiding them with that, but I said, "You got to know where God is sending you."
Right.
I asked wherever he's going to send me, if you want to come with me there. I don't really know. At this point, I didn't know. And at that last Sunday, closed it down. 3 days later, I was in the hospital with emergency surgery. I had an
Wow.
abscess colon, and they rested my colon for 6 months. And I had an ostomy bag. I mean, that was one of the hardest times of my life.
Wow.
But in the midst of that, I kept praying. I said, "Okay, Lord, I've got to worship somewhere. What will you have me do?" Then that's when he spoke to me, and I was surprised. He said, "You're going to go back to Greater Christ Temple?" I said, "But you moved me." He said, "You're gonna go back there.
That's where
You're gonna
you
go
gonna
back
go
to
back.
You're going to go back to Greater Christ Temple Church and you're going to serve under Bishop Merritt and just serve him. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, but Lord, there are a lot of other churches that are small that I can go and help, help encourage and help build them up and stand. He said, this is the assignment I have for you to do. So you're going to rest a year. After that year is up, then you'll be ready to resume in your assignment. And
Wow.
that was really, it was really hard. It was really hard, but it's amazing because when I talked to Bishop Merritt after I had recovered from surgery, I talked to Bishop Merritt because I started attending the Bible studies in church. Whenever you start attending Wednesday night Bible study,
Yeah, they say, what
they
you doing?
know,
Say, why you
uh,
here? Say, what you
right?
here for? And that's so bad. They usually
Yeah,
just say, come on in. But they're like, oh, wait a minute, wait a minute.
yeah.
Why are you here?
Well, you're here. It's like, and he would even look, you be like, and I go up to church after church, praise the Lord, Bishop, how you doing?
Right.
I'm doing okay. Still looking. But anyway, long story short, talked to him and he said, well, okay. He said, looks like the Lord just had you in full circle.
Yeah.
And so now you're back here serving again. But even with that, like I said, the adjustment, still having that pastoral call on me, it was hard for me to really totally release the flock. They
Hmm.
were still in my spirit. I would still pray for them and talk to them and commune with them and things like that, and still do today. A lot of us are still close. But then with the assignment with this, and even coming back in, he asked me, he said, are you going to resume as a pastor? That's what the Lord told me, to resume as an evangelist. So the office I walk in now is the evangelistic office.
Hmm.
And so I know that, I know my assignment. I'm to be a support to him and any ministries that's in the church. And that's where I am, even though since the pandemic, I've started a women's, I would say women's ministry, I guess online. But this is my story, telling women's stories of struggles and triumphs. The newsletter that I started in 95, that's what it was about, sharing
That's what
women's
it is. Yeah,
stories.
you back around, you come back
So now
full
I'm
circle.
back doing that, but it's
Yeah.
live now more so than it being on paper.
And that's
And
beautiful. That's beautiful.
so, but I'm enjoying the journey. And I think when you accept the will of God for your life, then you can be at peace at whatever area He has you in.
Yeah.
And that's where I am. Like, well, I'm just wanting to serve, but I want to please God in everything
Yeah.
I do.
Well, and old folks used to tell us, you leave right, you can come back right.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
That they used to say, you leave right, and you gotta be older than 50 to
mhm,
understand what that means.
yeah,
And probably associated with a Pentecostal church to understand what that means. Ooh, that sounds
that's
awful
true.
harsh. No,
But
it,
that's
it,
the
it made
truth.
all the difference. If you left right, you can come on back, and we're not gonna give you no trouble. But when you leave
Right.
right, you can come back right.
Yeah, and really, that's one thing he said. He said, because really, when God started shifting me, he really wasn't accepting that. He had a hard time
Oh,
accepting that.
yeah.
But I always came to the church. I was always fellowshipping with the council. I mean, I was always around.
Right,
I just
right,
wasn't under his leadership. But the Lord
right.
had me in that journey to train and equip me.
Yeah,
He
but he
really
had
did.
to
I guess,
also and train and equip him too, because he
yeah,
probably had never seen that before. I mean,
yeah,
and that is a real place, because we all grew up in the same place. So when you see people, you like, oh, they're just unstable as water. They just
right.
can't sit still. They're not rooted and grounded. I mean, I've heard it all. I
Yes,
have, and and it's probably been said over me, but you have to understand your own assignment. I mean, at
you really
58
do.
now, I'm good. You can say what you
Mhm.
want. I'm
I
good.
know. I'm okay.
It's me and
That's,
Jesus. As long as I don't keep getting in bathroom and then shower whoopings, I'm good.
uh-huh. That's true.
As long as say no, 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 no. That's what they have to figure it out. They have to
That's
understand it.
right. And
Yeah. As
like I
long as
said, they're gonna be okay.
they're
They're
gonna
really
be all
gonna be
right.
okay.
We're gonna take a break. We'll be right back after this.
Okay.
And we're back with Evangelist Morrison. So you can tell Ken folks can talk all day long, but I know I'm in a limited period of time, so I can't ask her every single solitary question I want to ask her, but
Yeah.
I just must ask about the music, because so she said she was born in 53, so I was born in 63. So I'm 10 years her younger, her junior. So I always, when I was little, I used to listen to her sing with groups and all that. Okay, so all right. So those of you who don't know, So we call them council meetings. So basically, there are multiple churches coming together. So some people may call them fellowships, some may call them conferences, conventions, whatever you want to call them. But we called them
Mhm.
councils at the time. And ours was all of the state of Kentucky and Middle Tennessee was our little region, our little council, our group. And so we used to have youth day was Saturday, and they would have an hour before the actual worship service began was talent hour. And so when I was little, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine what age. I don't remember the age. All I know, I was sitting up on like the third row with my mama. We were in Maysville, some one of them little churches, one of them little towns in Kentucky. And I think you sang with like four different groups. They called your name. You came out with like 3 or 4 times. You and Maxine and
Uh-huh. Betty.
yeah, Betty and all that. So it was a whole group. So as they say, I've been a fan for years. I've been a fan for all my life, and most people don't even know. I was like, ooh, what they gonna do? Ooh, what they gonna say? Ooh, and all these multiple. Because we were just talking about the Frierson. So Stephanie Frierson used to sing a background for Bobby Jones. So look her up
Uh-huh.
on Google Stephanie Frierson, and so they're like famous people now
Mhm.
today. I mean, they've been on TV and the whole 9 yards. So let's just talk about your music journey. I mean, where has it come from, and where is it now? Because I know ministry and pastoring and evangelist and all of that is still there, but at the core, there's still a singer in there
It is. It all started when I was little. And I think you remember my grandfather, Monroe Walker.
Uh-huh.
I would always sing around the house, and my grandmother would always have uh, the albums of like the Clara Ward singers and Shirley Caesar and the Caravans, and I would be in there singing with them, be excited, have my little pencil up or whatever I use as my microphone.
Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah,
I would
yeah,
always
yeah.
kind of mimic them, would go to concerts with my mom about that. It's when they couldn't go to concerts, but she went on to the concert.
Yeah. Ooh, she was in trouble.
Oh, she was in trouble. We'd be at the concert. Now just turn around here, girl. Keep looking around. You keep looking
Keep looking
around. Who you
around.
gonna
Yeah.
see? I said, because we weren't supposed to be. But they were gospel concerts, but we weren't able to go. But anyway, and so just through that journey, and then going to church, getting in the Sunshine Band, singing in the Sunday
Yeah.
school choir,
Yeah.
and then coming up, like you said, the talent shows. Me and Betty was always harmonizing and just singing with everybody, the choir. And then got into the choir with the young adult choir. I think George Floyd
Yeah.
came and he was over that and did okay with that. But then there's another side to that where I was drawn to secularism. I was
Mm.
drawn to the secular world. And I was singing at school with a group at school, and we was at a talent show there. And then next thing you know, they had talent scouts that was out there, and they wanted us to start singing with them in their concerts, which was, of course, secular music, and then end up singing in a nightclub. Well, long story short, the journey with that music, I learned a lot. However, I was in the wrong place.
Hmm.
And then being in the church and then tipping out on Sunday night, going, getting in the car. They picked me up Sunday night after we get through singing in the choir, go outside, get in the car, put on my makeup, my wig, and all that stuff so we could look old enough. I was just 15.
Oh my
And
Lord.
then going to the club, singing, then coming back doing the same thing. The Lord told me, it's another thing, he will warn you. He warned me and he told me, he said, if you don't get yourself together and get right and do the right thing, I'm going to expose you. And he basically did. He kept warning me, but I was promiscuous as well. So that's still another part of my journey. But at the same time, back and forth, back and forth. So I did that and then end up being pregnant with my daughter. Then I end up coming back to the church for maybe a little while, but that pull was still on me. And I'm just saying this
Mhm.
for anybody out there. It's only what you do for Christ that will last. Whatever gifts and talents you have, totally sell out to the Lord, because you may go far in secular wise and all that, but at the bottom line, does it please God? Whatever you're doing, does it please God? Well, anyway, so long story short, came on back into the church after being out for about 10 years. And I've always written songs. I've always written songs. Songs always came to me, always written, even since I was like about 12 or 13. And back in the church, the Lord blessed me to be in the choir and coming back through the ranks again. And it's like he put in my spirit this album. And it's the songs that we did on Kathy Davis and the Spiritualites.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was in the
And
spiritual lights. Those of you who don't know, I was in the spiritual lights. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Yes.
Kathy Davis and the Spiritualites was you, Shar, Dara, and
And Paula.
Paula.
Yeah.
And I
Uh-huh.
heard you all, as I was putting these songs together, I heard you all singing the songs. And so that's why I had approached you all. So we all went in the studio, did our late night recordings, 12, 1 o'clock at night
Yeah, yeah. That was my first
recordings.
experience in the studio. Every day it taught me a whole lot. I was like a sponge. I was soaking it all up. Soaking it all up. I mean, it
It
really.
was something, but I thank the Lord for that because I still go back and listen to those songs quite a bit and I
Oh
can
my
hear.
gosh. That
Yeah.
was you posted our pictures. I'm like, look how young we
Uh-huh.
are. And them
You
cute
remember?
little jackets and little black skirts. Oh.
Right. And we were in Gospel, was it Gospel Today magazine
Yes.
with
Yeah. I
Margaret
mean,
Winans and all of them.
it
So
was
the Lord,
amazing. It was amazing. I was a
it
groupie. I
was.
was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm here. But it was a great, great experience. So
Yes.
where is your music now?
And so now, of course, after that, then of course moved to Nashville. Then I did another CD, which is Let the Queen Arise. Let the Queen Arise is an inspirational CD that goes along with the Queen program.
Mm,
And because I wrote a book, Let the Queen Arise, based out of the book of Esther, helping women to go forth in their purpose. So that CD is an inspirational CD, and all that's still on my YouTube page too. And then, so now since that has I think I did that in 2007, but now I'm in the midst of doing a full gospel album. I released the one of the singles uh, March of last year, which is At Calvary. And then now I'm in the midst of getting ready to release another single from that. I'm still working on the whole album, which will probably be released by the end of December, maybe around the 1st of January. But the
mhm,
single should come out about the end of June. It's called Joy Cometh. That song came to me when I was in a hard place, still dealing with Tanya's death.
mm,
And then my father got sick and had to go and take care of him and dealing with his death. And I was just sitting one day thinking about them. And then my great grandson, which was born the day after Tanya's funeral, we called him little Leo, but he was our joy for our sorrow.
mhm,
And just watching him, I think he just around the house playing, and it just came to me, joy cometh in the mornings. I kept looking at
mhm.
him, and then all of a sudden the song was just downloaded. So that's what that song is about. But that's where it really was inspired from. It's from that place.
Yeah,
And
Tanya was
so that's
wonderful, such a wonderful young woman, and just a light of our life, and
yeah.
just really just wonderful. We
Hmm.
miss her because she was just sweet,
Yeah.
and cousin Nora Catherine always said, little Tanya.
Little Tanya.
Little Tanya, she always said,
Honey,
little
she loved little
Tanya, and
Tanya.
my
Hmm.
Kathy, and little
Uh-huh.
Tanya. Oh my
Uh-huh.
gosh. But that's what family is, and that's what family does. So I'm glad to
Yeah.
see that music has kind of been I've given it my all, I've given
Hmm.
it everything. I have a
Hmm.
funeral that I really haven't sang in like a year and a half, and I'm, as they say, I'm kind of coming out of semi-retirement. I haven't
Uh-huh.
for this one person, because I told a lot of the mothers from the home church, I said, all right, y'all want me to sing
Hmm.
at y'all funeral? Y'all got to put it in the will. Y'all got to tell people, you can't assume they're going to, ask me.
That's
And
true.
so for this
That's
one
true.
person, I'm willing to do it, but it's just the whole thing of I guess I was really disappointed with the whole industry piece. Somebody should have just warned me. Ignore that and just sing, Joya. But writing
Hmm.
music, and I don't like the business of music. I don't like it's just so it
I
doesn't
think
make
it's
sense to me.
Yeah, and to me, I feel like it's very political.
Extremely,
It's very political because
extremely.
even though you'll have just as great a project or song as the next person, or even better, but because of who they know, you
Yeah.
know, often kind of pushes them on in, you
Right.
know,
And being a woman
unless
too
that's
hurts sometimes. I
yes, it
think. I think
does.
being female, and
Hmm.
let's just say, ageism. Our age is not.
Right.
I mean, I'm like, I couldn't. I didn't decide when the songs was gonna come. He decided when he was gonna
Right.
give it to me.
That's
He
right.
didn't give it to me when I was 22, and no, I never was then. Or
Hmm.
22. But he didn't give it to me then. He gave me when I was 42 or,
That's true.
32 or, but,
Uh-huh.
I at this juncture in my life, I said, I sing because I want to, because I love the Lord, and that's where I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
leave it. That whole
Mm-hmm.
industry piece, I let them
Yeah.
go on, and he has let
Mm-hmm.
me fall in love with books and publishing such that I
Yes.
don't worry
Oh
about
my
that no more.
God.
I
Oh
don't
my
have
God.
time to worry about it anymore. It was
Uh-huh.
very disappointing. I'm like you with the pencil. I probably had the tube of deodorant practicing. I want to give honor to the Stellar Awards and the
Right.
Grammy and the whatever Doves and
Yeah.
I'm like, no. Right now, I'm like, not, and then for 5 or 6 years, the Stellar Awards was in Nashville, and I used to
Yes.
go behind stage, and I was interviewing other people. So
Oh
tell us about your
man.
latest project. Tell about, and I'm like, how, Jesus, you got jokes, right? Like I thought I was gonna be the yes, I'm Julia, whatever. No, you have me do the interviewing, like, hi, whatever. I mean, you just think about that and you think,
Uh-huh.
but
I know.
our assignment, our position,
Yes.
and
Our
stay
assignment, our
here.
position.
We'll
Mm-hmm.
be in the right place at the right time, doing the right
That's true.
thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But at this age, I'm like, I just want to hear him say, "Well done."
Well done. That's
That's
it.
what we got to do. As you
That
get
is
older,
it.
all that stuff when you're younger, you think, "Oh, but I die. Oh, my feelings. Oh, and you
Mm-hmm.
think, girl,
Mm-hmm.
what's that
Mm-mm.
old saying? If I can just get to heaven, that'll be good
That's
enough
it.
for me. That'll be good enough for me. We're gonna take another
Mm-hmm.
break. We'll be right back.
Okay.
And we're back. So if you're in ministry, you think you're called, you want to be called, or you're called and you're running from the call, follow Evangelist Catherine Morrison on Facebook and find her on YouTube. And just Google her with so that you can continue to be encouraged. And I encourage you to follow her prayer calls as well because she has really gotten people praying, and I didn't even know they were called. What? Where have I been? So it's really exciting to see other people moving in their call because I think sometimes they need certain people to help them to get where they're designed to be, and it's a wonderful thing to be able to roll all that. So, with
Mhm.
that being said, tell us about the Royal Queens Academy and what that's all about and how people can participate.
Okay. Well, the Royal Queen Academy really started out just being the Queen program. In 2009, the Lord had impressed on me to write a book, Let the Queen Arise, and it's based out of the Book of Esther
Is it
and how
still
Esther.
available in
It's
print?
the book is not in print. I need to put it in reprint. I'm
Okay,
glad you're
so
saying that.
but still reach out to her so you can get your
Uh-huh.
copy.
And so what I've done is I wrote it into a book and study guide workbook type thing. So it's still there, but it's just within um, that one piece. And so then in writing that, and then the Lord had dealt with me about some situations. Seemed like everything that He uses me in, even projects and different things, is coming from a place of hurt or bad experiences that I've been through. And of course, my father, just kind of going back from where it all originated from, my father rejected me from, of course, my mother, she was young, she was a teenager when she had me, wasn't ready to be a parent. Of course, my father wasn't either. He was 17, he went on off to the Navy. But little by little, he came back in my life, but I still felt that rejection, abandonment, and all that. And even in being in church and having a relationship with God, I never really called him Father. I always called him God, Lord, Jesus, but never said Father.
Hmm.
So he put me on a consecration. This is where the book arrived from. He put me on a consecration, and and then in the midst of the consecration, at the last day, he had told me to come before him. He said, I want you to sit down here and I want you to come before me. I'm going to tell you some things. And so he began to download to me about the issues of my heart.
Okay, so
You know,
hold on
some,
right there. So a
uh-huh,
consecration, for those of you who don't know, let me just
uh-huh,
explain. That's when you're at time of separation from other people. And normally you're probably not listening to radio, you're not listen to a whole lot
mm-hmm,
of television. You're in prayer and fasting and communication, reading his word and any music you would listen to would probably be motivational, inspirational. Just for those like, I've never heard that word, I don't know what that word means. So
Okay.
I just want
Mhm,
to pause and explain that. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
mhm. Yeah, that's fine. And so in the midst of that, that last day is when he started revealing to me the hurt that was still in my heart for my father. He said, "You've got to forgive." And I'm like, "Well, I have forgiven." And he said, "You got to forgive everybody that's hurt you." I said, "I have forgiven." He said, "No, you haven't. There's one person you haven't." I had locked it away. I had locked that hurt, rejection all away. And when he started dealing with me about that, and oh my God, the kicking and screaming, I had my own deliverance
Mhm.
right there in my living room. And then he said, "But there's one thing that you never called me, and it's Father." The Lord's revealing it to me. He said, "Never call me father." And he told me why I never called him father, because I was still dealing with the hurt, rejection, what I called father. To me, that person of father was
Right.
from
The
a hurt
physical
place.
person. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
was from
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
hurt place. But and so he began, he said, "So I want you to call me father." And the more I said father, the more I said father, the more healing that came. And
Mhm.
then he said, "Okay, now you're ready. I want you to write the book." So I wrote the book, Let the Queen Arise. And then after that, he said, "Now I want you to write a song for each chapter of the book." So on the CD is 17 songs. I wrote a song for each chapter of the book. He said, "Now you're getting ready to start a queen program where you're going around the earth, developing queens for my kingdom." And I'm like, "So you're going to be mentoring, you're going to empowering women, helping them to go forth in their purpose, but also dealing with the root of the situation in their heart to help heal and deliver them." And so that's where the Queen program started from in 2009. The first class was like 25 women. And in that class, we had one, I have a book, a part of the book that's a chapter is called The Process of Elimination. And as we was going through the process of elimination, I had the women to, every time I would call out hurt, rejection, hatred, bitterness, I was calling that the different issues of the heart.
Mhm.
And I got to suicide. This girl screamed out. And when she screamed out, she said, "Ah," we began to gather around her right there and
Sure.
started ministering to her. And so she came out of that and delivered. She kept coming back to the class, but she stood up that night and told us, she said, "If you hadn't had this class, if I wouldn't come to this class tonight, I was going to go home and kill myself. But I remembered I had this class tonight." And she said, "I am free." And when it was time,
Wow.
we have, at the end of that, it's like a 6-week class. At the end, we have a graduation. Women will receive their certificate of completion, as well as I crown them to seal the impartation, give
Mm.
them a tiara. She walked across the stage with her head hung high. It was up high, and she had a strut. And she said, "I am free because
Oh my
I'm a
Lord.
queen." And that has inspired me to continue to keep it going. But then that's when the Lord would show up and show you, now you see the validity of your purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Oh
And so that's
God.
where it all started from. And then we stemmed from just having the adult classes. Now we're having classes for teenage girls as well as the little girls. The teenage class is for the teen, we call them the teen queens, for ages uh, 13 to 18. The women's class is 19 and up. And then the little girls, which is the princess program, from 5 to about 12. And
Wow.
so the little girls and the teenage girls, we have them during the summer because we go in the community and have them in the community centers. But the women's we have in the fall and the spring. And this next one we will have starting in the fall, and we will have it virtually. I'm going to have it online for right now.
Perfect.
And the
Perfect.
Royal
Perfect.
Queen Academy, and you can look on Facebook called the Royal Queen Academy as well, or you can go to um, um, my website, kmministries.net, and find information there as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, that sounds phenomenal, and great for so many women, and now being virtually, so therefore you can connect women from around the world, literally, because they
Yes,
don't
yes.
necessarily have to be in your location or anything else. So this
Mm-hmm,
has been a pleasure. I have
mm-hmm.
thoroughly enjoyed you being on with me today, and I'm
Oh,
very thankful for all that you're doing and continuing to do in the kingdom. And if we stay kingdom minded, we'll be fine.
that's it.
I mean, that really touched me, and really has helped continue to encourage me, because a lot of times we get stuck in, we need to be here, we need to be right here, and we never need to be moved. Because I'm that
Mhm.
one that probably always, if God had never moved me, I'd probably still be in my home church, directing the choir and probably trying to
Uh-huh.
figure out what next songs to teach. I mean,
Uh-huh.
you never
Yes,
know where you can go and where you can be expanded to
that's
until
true.
sometimes He has to force you. So,
Mhm.
living your best life, especially if you're a woman or man of faith,
Mhm.
sometimes it's out of your hands, baby. I
That's
love you.
true.
I do. But I'm going to tell you the truth. When you say yes to God, you never know where He's going to have you next and what He's
That's
going to have
right.
you doing. So
That's
proud
right.
of you. Super excited about all He's doing for you, and continue to pray for you, because I know grief is ongoing. It's
Mhm.
not something you just turn off and on, and definitely not when you lose your own child. So we'll be continually in prayer for you, and
I
be
appreciate that.
sure and find Catherine Morrison on Facebook. Google her, find her on YouTube, and then go to kmministries.net to
Mhm.
support the Royal Queens Academy and her music and everything else she has going on. So super excited, super excited. I'm Dr. Julia Royson. Thank you, Evangelist Morrison, for being with me. And
Thank you so
remember,
much.
today, tomorrow, and always live your best life.